Good morning, everyone. Today, we are going to discuss the second module of Chapter 8, How Do Organisms Reproduce? In this chapter, we are going to explain the parts of flower and how these sex organs helps in sexual reproduction in plants and how the fertilization is taking place and how the seed formation takes place. So let us begin the chapter. Sexual reproduction in plants. So we have already learned the different modes of asexual reproduction that is taking place in lower organism as well as the vegetative reproduction that is taking place in plants. Here we are going to deal with the sexual reproduction in plants. So when we say sexual reproduction in plants, the flower is acting as the reproductive organ in plant. And here, a typical flower consists of four main whorls, such as sepals or corolla, not corolla, calyx, then petals or corolla, androecium, and gynoecium. So here I said calyx. Calyx means it is the cup-like structure, which is made up of, which is green color in most of the cases. And the function of calyx is when the flower is in bud condition, it will cover the inner parts of the flower. So individual unit of calyx is sepal. So in rose flower, it is green in color. Hibiscus also it is green in color. But when you are taking gulmohar, that is Rajamalli, there it is colored. So it depends upon the species. It can be colored or colorless. And the sepals also can be fused and it can be free. So in most of the cases, commonly available in hibiscus, it is fused and it forms a cup-shaped structure. In chili, brinjal and all, it is fused. But there are free sepals also. Many plant flowers, it is free sepals also. And the next whorl, it is the most attractive part of the flower, which is called as corolla. This corolla consists of or made up of petals. And why it is so colorful means mainly they are acting as the attractive component of the flower. So with the help of that bright colors or colors, it can attract the pollinators, insects and other birds, etc. And it is made up of petals, and petals also same like calyx, it can be fused or it can be free. In Columbi or in very yellow color flower, there it is fused, or Ixora, Chetti, there also it is fused, and it fused and forms a funnel shaped or a tubular structure. Whereas in hibiscus, it is free. Then it will attract and the pollinators. Then these two whorls are not that much important for the sexual reproduction of flower or reproduction in plants. Then the next two, it is the main part of the flower, that is male part and female part. So the male part is called as androecium, which is made up of stamens. And stamen itself consists of, it can be many number of stamens. The number will vary according to the species. And each stamen is again consists of a filament, and at the tip there is a sac-like structure that is called as anther. And within the anther, the powdery structures that is called as pollen grains will develop. The pollen grains are the male sex cell. So here the male sex organ, it is called as, collectively it is called as androecium. Androecium consists of many stamens. Stamen in turn, it is made up of filament and anther. Within the anther, the pollen grains are seeds. And pollen grain is the male sex cell. And innermost part is called as gynoecium. Gyno means female, feminine. So gynoecium, the female structure. And there it is made up of three, the individual unit is called as pistil. The pistil itself, or carpel also will say, the pistil consists of three parts from top to the bottom. It is stigma, style, and ovary. And stigma is specially meant for receiving the pollens. The pollens, when they are carried away, it will fall into the stigma. It is a cushiony pad-like structure. So it will fall into the stigma, and then it will pass through a tubular region. That tubular region is called as style. And finally, it will reach into the bulge region. That bulge region is called as ovary. Inside the ovary, the female sex organ, that is ovules are present. And inside the ovule only, the female sex cell is present, that is egg. So here the stamen is produce the pollen grain, and carpel or pistil will produce the egg. And here, based on the presence of sex organs, the flowers can be categorized as bisexual flower and unisexual flower. So what do you mean by bisexual flower? That is, both the male and female sex organs or reproductive parts are present in the same flower. If you are taking hibiscus, the hibiscus consists of both stamen as well as the carpel. And another one, mustard. Both stamen as well as the carpel we can see inside the flower. So both sex organs are present, so it can very easily, the fertilization can take place within the same flower itself. Then another category it is called as unisexual flower. Uni means one, and sexual, that means only sex organ. Only one type of sex organ only will be present in a flower. So in such case, we'll call the flower which contained male sex organ, we'll call it as staminate flower, because stamen only, it will produce only the stamen, or male flower. And the flower which contain only the carpel or pistil, we can say pistillate flower. That means it consists of only female sex organ. So that flower is called as female flower. So in some species, there are the plant will produce the male flower, and sometimes they produce a female flower. Sometimes the same plant itself will produce both male flower and female flower. And typical example, papaya, when we are saying papaya, it is both male flower and female flower, but male papaya and female papaya. That is the plant, one plant which will produce only either male flower or female flower. Whereas coconut is a single plant in which that they produce within the inflorescence, pupula, Tengin pupula we'll say. Within the inflorescence, both male and female flowers will be there in the same plant. So there is no male coconut or female coconut, but within that coconut tree, male flowers will be produced as well as the female flowers will be produced. So male and female flowers are separate. And watermelon, cucumber. Cucumber also, some flowers will be male, some flowers will be female. And which flower is female, that only will produce the fruits. Male flowers will not produce the fruits. So here, main term we have to keep it in our mind is, what do you mean by bisexual flower? That means bi means two. Sexual means two reproductive organs. Then unisexual means only one. So only one sex organ only will be present in a flower. So bisexual flower means two sex organs, both stamen and carpel will be there. Unisexual means only any one of the sex organ, that is male sex organ or female sex organ. So here I have represented a typical structure of flower. So here the green color in outermost word, that is called as the sepal. Then red color, brightly colored one, it is called as the petal. And that thread-like with a button-like structure, that one it is called as stamens. And then innermost one, that one is called as the pistil. And the pistil itself, again, it is divided into stigma, and tubular part is called as style, and the bulge region is called as ovary. Inside the ovary, the ovules are present. Then when we move on to the little more detail, the reproductive part of the flower, the stamen and the pistil already we said. And the stamen is the male reproductive part, and it produces pollen grains in the anther, which contain. So when the pollen lands onto the stigma, slowly the stigma will secrete certain secretions and the pollen grain will emerge out in the form of pollen tube. So inside the pollen tube, it will carry two male gametes. It will carry two male gametes. And this male gamete slowly will move and then enter into the ovary. There it will enter into the ovule. There it will combine, one of the male gamete will combine with the egg. So here the pistil means it consists of three parts: stigma, style, and ovary. And ovary contains the female germ cell, that is female gamete, or we can say egg cell. Then when we explain this one, next term it is coming into our mind is pollination. So pollination means it is the transfer of pollen grain from the anther to the stigma of the flower is called as pollination. Transfer of pollen grain from anther to the stigma of the flower. So when we discuss this one, there are two possibilities. I said in bisexual flower, both male and female female part is present in the same flower. So the pollen from the anther to the stigma of the same flower, there are chances. If it happens so, then that type of pollination is called as self-pollination. That means the pollination is between the male sex organ and the female sex organ of the same flower. So it is very easy, the same type of organisms or the same type of plants we can generate from the same. That will later develop into seed, and the seeds will produce the same characteristics of the parent plant. So similar characteristics will be followed in the next generation also. The next category, the other possibility is the male sex cell from one flower to another flower. Then it is called as cross-pollination, because from one flower it will fall into the stigma of another flower. So in such case, we have to depend, or the plant has to depend upon, for the cross-pollination, many other agents. The agents can be wind, and it can be water, it can be insects, it can be birds, it can be mollusk. So based on that, different terms you will study in higher classes. So normally grass and other varieties, the wind will help in pollinating. Along with the wind, the pollen grains will be small, dusty and powdery, non-sticky, so it will be carried away by the wind. Whereas in water plants, Vallisneria and all, means the pollen grain will be released into the water, and they'll be slimy and long thread-like structures. So they will swim, or they will be carried away by the water currents, and then there it can reach the female sex organ. In some cases, the insects, the bees, the flies, the wasp, the moth, butterflies, or they will, when they sit on a flower for drinking the nectar, for getting the nectar, sometimes the pollen will get attached to their body parts. When they sit on other plant or on other flower, then it will be help in transferring the pollen from one flower to another. So these are the agents which helps in cross-pollination. So here I have represented the two figures which will demarcate the difference between self-pollination and cross-pollination. So here in the first figure, it is the transfer. The transfer is shown with the help of arrow mark. So the transfer of pollen from anther to the stigma of the same flower. In the other case, the transfer of pollen from one flower to the another flower. Here it is from one flower to the another flower, hence it is called as cross-pollination. Now we'll move on to the next term, that is fertilization. So we have said the pollen will land on the stigma. Then the pollen will produce the pollen grain which will carry the male gamete. Then slowly it will penetrate through the style, and then it will enter into the ovary and then into the ovule. So within the ovule, the egg cell will be present. So the male gamete, one of the male gamete will fuse with the egg, and then that will transfer inside the ovule, and then that fusion result in. So male gamete will fuse with the egg and forms a single cell. That single cell is called as zygote. And the process of formation of zygote by the fusion of pollen male gamete with the egg of the plant, it is called as fertilization. And after fertilization, what will happen? The zygote which is formed, which is a single cell, will divide many times, and then that gradually transforms into embryo, which then develops into seed. That means the embryo will form inside the ovule, and the whole ovule will develop into seed. And the ovule is seen inside a bulged part. That part is called as ovary. So this ovary, after the seed formation, the ovary will develop into fruit. So this is the fate of, or the gradual developmental process of how the reproduction is taking place. In 10th standard, we have only that much only to learn. So here the fertilization. Fertilization means it is the fusion of male gamete with the egg, and then that will result in the formation of a single cell that is called a zygote. Zygote is later divides into many, and then they will form into many cells, and finally it will develop into embryo. The embryo is present or will be formed within the ovule. The ovule will develop into seed, and the ovary will develop into fruit. And we have to learn the diagram of pollinated pistil. So here it is a pistil. So there you have to mark stigma, style, and ovary. Along with, since it is pollinated pistil, you have to mark pollen grain, pollen tube, which carry the male gamete. Then it is entering into the ovule, and inside the ovule, the female germ cell or egg is present. So all these diagrams are very important for exam. Then when we move on more in detail into the seed, so we have already learned the seed is formed from the ovule, fertilized ovule. So we have to say what is seed means. You have to say the fertilized ovule will develop into seed, and it contains the product of fertilization. What is that? That is the embryo. So embryo is enclosed within the seed, within the ovule, and after the fertilization, the ovule will develop into seed. So, and it develops when the seed falls into suitable soil. It will under appropriate conditions. So what do you mean by appropriate conditions? Suitable amount of water, then air in the soil, then which one? The comfortable other requirements. It will germinate into seedling. And the process of formation of seedling from the seed within the soil, that process is called as germination. So here we have to learn the important parts of seed. So seed is covered by a seed coat, and inside the seed there are two cotyledons in a typical dicot. So for that you can take pea seed, പരിപ്പോ പയറോ കടലയോ ഏതെങ്കിലും, you can soak it in water. Then after after one overnight, we can keep it on a moist cotton, and after one day you can see the seed coat will break, and the seed will germinate out. So in that, very clearly you can see the embryo inside the cotyledon. This embryo consists of an upwardly directed part that is called as the plumule, which later develop into shoot. Then a downwardly directed part that is called as radicle. The radicle will develop into root. and the junction between the plumule and the radicle, there arises the first cotyledonary leaves. And the cotyledon as such, that is actually stores the food nutrients for the developing embryo. And that entire thing will be covered by the seed coat. So all these parts you can observe after soaking the seeds in water. Then after 12 hours or 12 hours, you can keep it in a moist cotton pad. And you can observe the changes, and you can very easily dissect the parts of the seed. So there will be a plumule, which will later develop into stem, radicle, downwardly directed, that will develop into root, and two cotyledons in the case of dicot. And if it is monocot, means there will be only one cotyledon. So based on that presence of one or two, based on that only we are categorizing the plants into either monocotyledons or dicotyledons. Okay, so all the beans, they will come under dicot. Paddy, wheat, rice, paddy, wheat, sorghum, oats and all will come under monocots. Now, the parts of the seed. Already we have mentioned only seed coat. What is the function of seed coat? It covers and protects the seed. Inside the seed, which one is present? That is embryo. The role of embryo only forms the new plant. And this embryo consists of plumule, radicle, and center point is called as embryonal axis. From there, the leaves will arise. First leaves, okay, cotyledonary leaves. Then some seeds, there will be the nutrients are stored in a nutritive tissue. That tissue is called as endosperm. So there only the food initial stages, it will be reserved. And in dicot as well as monocot, later it will forms the cotyledon. So in dicot, two cotyledons will be there, which will store the food and also the first leaves of the plants. Then monocot, the plant with only one cotyledon is called as monocot, and the plant with two cotyledons, it is called as dicot. With this, we have concluded our topic.